we've got these cards here that'll keep you out of hell. If you get one of these cards, it's a get out of hell free card. We made these cards, it's kind of like a joke, right? Because a lot of people go through life thinking that they've got one of these in their pocket. Sometimes, as John said, it's through self-righteousness. Well, I'm going to be good enough to earn my way to heaven. I'm going to keep all the rules. I'm going to make up all these rules. Or my religion is going to save me. It's going to be my get out of hell card. Some people believe just because they prayed a prayer or walked an aisle or go to church on Sunday that they're going to go to heaven and therefore stay out of hell. I've got a bunch of these. If anybody wants one, Samantha will give one to you. You go give them that. If you guys want one of these cards, just raise your hand and Samantha will bring it to you. There's one over there. As John said, the reason why we come out here is because we don't want people to go to hell. The Bible says that liars will have their place in the lake of fire. It says it's fiery sulfur. I looked it up on Wikipedia. Sulfur turns to molten about 800 degrees. So we're having a cool spell now. It's only 85 tonight, but a few weeks ago, remember, it was in the hundreds. Well, hell's going to be a lot hotter than that. We don't want anyone to go there. Now, if your house was on fire, it was 2 o'clock in the morning and you were sound asleep, and someone came walking down the street and saw your house was on fire, would you be upset that they knocked on the door and said, "Sir, your house is on fire, you need to get out or you're going to die and burn in here"? You wouldn't be mad, you'd be thankful. And that's the same thing that we're out here tonight to tell you, is that there's a problem. When you die, you're going to be judged, and you're either going to go to heaven or hell based on that. We don't want anybody to face that judgment without being warned that it's coming. We know that it's coming because it's in the Bible. We know that the Bible is true because there's evidence. So that judgment is based on the 10 Commandments. So let's see how you would do if God were to judge you by the 10 Commandments. Ask yourself this: have I ever told a lie? Or ask it another way: how many lies have you told in your life? Is that number bigger than 0? If it is, then God sees you as a liar. The 8th commandment says you shall not steal. So if you've ever taken something that belongs to somebody else, regardless of the value, then that's stealing and God sees you as a thief. The 3rd commandment says that God will not hold you blameless if you use His name in vain. If you use God's name or Jesus' name irreverently or as a curse word, it's called blasphemy, and it's a very serious offense before God. The 5th commandment says to honor your mother and father. Hey, you kids, do you do that? Do you honor your mother and father if they ask you to clean your room or take out the trash? Do you obey with the first time they say it? Or are they going 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4? See, God sees these things as very serious. The 6th commandment says you shall not murder. Now this is where we get back to considering ourselves to be good people. You can say, well, I've never killed anybody. I'm not in prison. But Jesus Christ said, it was said of days of old, you shall not murder. But I tell you that if you even hate your brother or call him a fool, that you've already murdered him in your heart. Now ask yourself if you've done that. How many of you even drove over here to this shopping center tonight without calling somebody a fool that cut you off on the highway? Jesus says that's murder. 7th commandment says you shall not commit adultery. But Jesus said, it was said of days of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that if you even look at another person and lust after them, that you've already committed adultery in your heart. We share this with you to show you that God's standard is very high. His standard is perfection. If I had a glass of water and I put 1 drop of cyanide in it and I said, here, would you drink this? You probably wouldn't drink it if you knew it had a drop of cyanide in it. And if I poured that glass of water with a drop of cyanide into a gallon bucket and kept adding water and adding water and adding water, and you still knew there was a drop of cyanide in there, you probably still wouldn't drink it, even if I poured the whole ocean in there, because you wouldn't want to take that chance. But I tell you, that's what most people will do by trying to be good and earn their way to heaven. They want to dilute down their sin problem. See, the Bible tells us in the book of James that if we've broken even one of God's commandments, we're guilty of breaking them all. And because of that, we're trying to enter into the presence of a holy God, even with one blemish, even 1 drop of cyanide upon us makes us impure when we enter in the face of holiness. And this is what I call the holiness dilemma. As John was saying, we all want to go to heaven. We don't want to go to hell. We don't want to say that we follow Satan. But that's what hell was created for, is Satan and his followers. And so we have this dilemma. We've got a holy God, but we're utterly corrupt as humans. And therefore we have no way on our own to stand in his presence. God recognized this dilemma. But he wants you to recognize first that you have this dilemma. Many people that I talk to will say, oh, I've only told a couple lies. God is merciful. He'll forgive me. Well, God has many attributes. He's holy. He's righteous. He's perfect. But God is also just. Because he is just, he must punish sin. Because he's perfect, if he even lets one sin go unpunished, then he wasn't just in the first place. And so you can see it creates a dilemma for God. So what God did for you and for me is that he sent his son, Jesus Christ, down from heaven to live amongst us.